Hello, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Core Skills for Humans Volume 2, your communications toolbox. I'm your host, Christine Wood. Remember in Volume 1 when we talked about the neuroscience of safety? If you haven't watched a bit about brains, you might want to start there. You'll find the link in the description below. Today, we're looking at what we can do as humans in a dialogue to keep our conversation partner feeling safe, avoiding any perceived threat that might trigger their amygdala response. Volume 1 also explains a bit about why we would want to do that. However, before we dive in, let's make sure we're on the same page with a few foundational elements. First, we're talking about a dialogue defined as the free flow of meaning between two or more people. My premise is our goal as skilled humans, and especially as leaders, is to get all the relevant information, also known as meaning, into the open. When people in dialogue feel safe enough to share their concerns and crazy ideas, we surface the best insights and diverse perspectives that lead to better outcomes. Second, for the record, another working assumption is that we can't change the other person's behavior. I know, we'd like to sometimes, but we can't. So we'll work on what we can do ourselves on our side of the conversation. And third, and this is a bit of a secret, but this stuff works in any situation where you're trying to be a more skillful human. I know many of us are here for work, but please feel free to try these tools out anywhere. There are loads of good resources out there offering a more comprehensive strategy for improved communication. I certainly have my favorites. But if what you want right now is a quick and dirty must-have communications toolbox, you've come to the right place. Here we go. The top 5 things that you should do if you want to maintain safety in a dialogue, in other words, surface all the good input, hopefully have your point heard, and hopefully come to an agreement or at least a path forward are: number 1, listen. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We should be listening at least twice as much as we talk. And there are at least 2 good reasons to listen. 1, feeling heard helps humans feel safe. And number 2, when we listen, we may learn something useful, like what the other person's perspective is or what's their goal for this conversation. If you don't already have good tools for active listening, like mirroring and paraphrasing and staying present in the conversation, that's a good exploration for you to begin. Number 2, start with facts. Here's the thing. Whenever something happens and we react to it, in between, in a split second, we tell ourselves a story. A colleague is late for work. You feel let down. What's the story you tell yourself? Oh, he just doesn't care about this project. Clearly, I'm a much more dedicated employee. She always gets away with everything. Don't feel bad. These stories are just how our brains work. They try to quickly make connections and figure things out. But now that you're aware that this is happening, the question is, can we sort through the story for the facts? What are the objective details that all parties would agree to? In this example, maybe the objective fact is that your colleague arrived 20 minutes late for work. Without a story attached, how might we communicate that? I noticed you arrived 20 minutes late today. Is everything okay? Ooh, see what I did there? That's tool number 3, the I statement. Starting with I keeps the focus off your dialogue partner and helps keep them in their prefrontal cortex. I noticed, I wonder. Sharing our observations and curiosity with an I statement doesn't feel like a threat. You, especially at the beginning of a statement, tends to feel like a threat. Even throwaway lines like, you know, can trigger that amygdala response that will impede our path to productive dialogue. Another way to combine facts and I statements is to get honest about what we're feeling. I was disappointed that we missed the deadline. I statement, I was disappointed. Fact, we missed the deadline. I'm feeling frustrated because it seems we have different expectations. Okay? The trick is to stay away from judgment or accusation. Starting with an I statement and being honest and curious will help keep it safe. Tool number 4, ask open-ended questions, especially those that start with what and how. Tone still matters, of course, but again, we can keep it safe by asking questions with curiosity rather than judgment. What the heck were you thinking may technically be an open-ended question, but it is not what we have in mind. Maybe something more like, what downstream impacts do you imagine? What is your perspective on this? How do you see the process unfolding? What might make things go more smoothly? We can put it all together with an I statement like, I'm curious, added to an open-ended question like, what's your perspective? Another handy entree into safe and open dialogue is, tell me about. It's a good idea to have a few favorite questions or opening lines in your back pocket to pull out without having to think much about it. Tell me more about that is a handy back pocket opener, for example. Pick the ones that work best for you. Ultimately, safety is maintained and everyone feels they can contribute in a useful way when we lead with curiosity rather than judgment. What if your tone wasn't as safe as it should be? Maybe I was frustrated and I let loose with a, what were you thinking? Technically an open-ended question, but I'm betting I've lost safety when I use that one. Can we recognize when safety is lost? Remember from Volume 1, what does fight or flight look like in a meeting, for example? Has your dialogue partner just shut down or started arguing? Once you recognize that safety is lost and your partner's amygdala has triggered a fight or flight response, how do we fix it? That's tool number 5, reestablish safety. How do we do that? Well, apologizing is the number one answer. I'm sorry, that came out wrong. What I meant to say was... Another way to reestablish safety is to just notice and name it. Did I get that wrong? Tell me how you see it. These are tools that we can learn, and if we practice, they'll become skills and ultimately behaviors that we don't have to think about consciously, at least some of the time. But that only happens if we practice a lot. Take this toolbox with you and practice all the time. Here's a reminder of the tools we'll be practicing. Listening, starting with facts, not stories. Using I statements, asking open-ended questions, and reestablishing safety by apologizing, naming it, trying again with tools 1 through 4. When we are skillful at dialogue, everything is easier. We come to workable solutions faster and save so much time and energy avoiding conflicts in the first place. Just remember safety first. Learning and practicing these simple tools is among the core skills that will help us all be better humans. We have more videos coming out periodically. In the next one, we'll cover how we can keep ourselves feeling safe and in our prefrontal cortex. Hit subscribe if you want to know when new content comes out from Core Skills for Humans. If you want to dive deeper, check out our website, especially the resources on the Things We Like page. The link is below. We'll see you next time at Core Skills for Humans.